around for the final kill. However, this time around on the second stock of Ejad, they are racking up that damage. The throw down into the grab and throw, tries to get the kick down. There it is! Swing that hammer of a fist!
My goodness, that was a huge down spike off stage. And that's the thing that we love about K. Rool, is they are one of the more versatile, if not the most versatile, heavy in Smash. And they are not afraid to go off stage. They have great off stage presence. And seeing both of them just have this off stage battle is just so much fun to watch. And that was a big play. As you can see, Ejad looking to make another as they force Ejad and Kitsune off stage. And it is followed up with yet another huge down spike, giving Ejad the win.
Those air jabs are ridiculous. So well timed there from Ejad, and you've just got to be impressed when you see it, right? Because who knows how to counter a K roll better than another K roll? The parries on the cannonball, the crown throws, and then again those air attacks were so flawless. I want to see that more from Ejad as we get into round number 2. And just to keep you guys updated on those overlays, Henderson is on your left. You got Challenger EC on your right. So for game 2, those overlays are fixed.
Well, here we are now into match number 2, as it once again is going to be Kitsune versus Ejad, and they're sticking with the K rules. No problems or complaints coming from me, as already you can see Ejad going right back to work again, using those down throws, and then now following it up not only with the up smashes, but is going to follow it up with the big old boxing glove as well to already take the first stock from Kitsune.
Yeah, and Challenger EC, that overlay, they're also supposed to have 1 point. So with 1 point and 1 stock up, I'd say they're looking pretty good. Ejad looking pretty confident here on Pokemon Stadium. However, that confidence could be short-lived. Caught up into Kitsune's tech, and now getting smashed off the stage by Ejad. Oh, they just take over completely. What happened to Kitsune?
Yeah, it just looked like a pretty good ledge guard, even on the side, you know, kind of blink and you miss it, but they were both applying the belly armor to one another. And the belly armor, again, is one of those versatile abilities that K. Rool has. It's also used as a reflector to send projectiles back to their targets, but the belly armor itself can be used, again, to ledge guard off stage. And I think that's what we saw from Ejad, as they both were trying to use that big old belly. But at the end of the day, Ejad is going to be the one to use it the best, as they will take game number 2, 3-0.
Unbelievable so far from Ejad. You're just seeing, again, so far, Cap, if you want to paint it clearly, the better K roll. And so now we're getting a little swap action here. Let's go ahead and see it. Still our K roll this time from Henderson. But Porkchop coming in for Challenger. We're going to speed things up a little.
Yeah, I think that was our first series done, actually, because, again, I'm thinking what we're doing is the best of 3s, right? So our first best of 3 is over. It went the way, again, of Ejad. So that should be 1 point towards Challenger, if I'm not mistaken. But now this is going to be an interesting matchup here, as we do have Gyro taking on Porkchop. Big shout out to Porkchop in the chat. Pretty sure we got to see you there. And now we get to see you work on this Falco. And this is going to make an interesting matchup here, because, once again, we do have that K rule, the big, versatile, heavy. But you do have Falco, who is a master in the air. You have got to watch out for the up tilt into the forward air, as already that will be the first stock off of Gyro.
I know we love to talk about Battlefield because that's our background, Cap, but you called it out too easily. And the Falco on Porkchop, he loved it even more. Getting that K roll in the air and being able to combo on those air attacks have been just so valuable for Porkchop. They rack up the damage, but I would say, as of recent efforts, Gyro doing a better job of staying on that stage and kicking Porkchop to the curb.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Falco does not have a poor recovery by any means. Their recovery is moderate. You know, it's right about average. It's not the greatest. But with that being said, K Rool, they can definitely get a lot more float potential. I mean, they can drop literally all the way to the bottom of the glass zone and still be able to recover. So again, it is going to be a battle in the air a lot of these times when we're talking about stock advantages.
And you saw for a moment their gyro was in the air, came back to the stage on the far side. That's one of the really only areas where you're not completely vulnerable. Trying to get safely back on the stage by throwing that crown, eventually does get up and immediately dodges. Has to get ready for really any attack coming in from Porkchop, but they'll find themselves get sucked in, but then taken out. Hit around like a punching bag. Porkchop doing a little juggling here. Gyro back on, but how much longer can he really survive? It doesn't look like much longer. The recoveries are good, but the damage is racking up. Another up B to get another swipe and a crown hit as well. The survivability from Gyro is unbelievable.
And you know, that's the benefits of being a big heavy. You know, it takes a little extra oomph to send you into the blast zone. And Falco, they don't have the biggest kickback. That's why when you see these blast zone attempts coming from Falco, they're going to be in the air. They're going to be from the up tilts into the forward airs just like that. A beautiful back air in order to solidify that second stock from the K Rule.
Oh, we should have just started them at one stock, right? 0-0 apiece. No, of course, you've got to let the story evolve. You've got to let the tension build, and I feel like the pressure, it's building on Gyro right now. Climbs from 0 to 50, make it 60 in all too little of time. Dashing in and grabbing the grab and throw. Trying to get the cannonball to connect once again, but now Gyro's in the air. This is where Falco is the most dangerous. Porkchop racking up the damage already to 100, getting in close. Not being able to nail it. Ends up right under the belly. Oh, but the recovery's just in time.
Yeah, and you see, this is where things are going to get dangerous here for Porkchop. You got to remember, on the previous stock, it took K. Rool nearly 200% damage to finally drop their second stock. Meanwhile, you're looking at this Falco, who is at 89%. They can get sent to the blast zone at 100, if not sooner. So this is where you really have to be careful. As you can see now, Porkchop is trying to keep their distance and keep K. Rool at bay, but they dive too deep and they can't recover. It's going to be game number one, going the way of Gyro.
We talked so much about the recovery capabilities of both fighters here and how K-Rool can do it so much better. No way we get two Kazuyas here, but yeah, Falco's just not as good as K-Rool, so going in for the kill maybe wasn't the move for Porkchop. We'll see if they can rebound on the Kazuya.
Yeah, honestly, we might as well be playing Tekken at this point. I mean, we're on Final Destination. There's no platforms. It doesn't get nearly as a fair fight as this. And honestly, this map benefits them both. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Not to mention that their previous characters are not contradictory, but they're just so unalike, these two Kazuyas here. And already the first stock has been taking off of Gyro. And we're getting right into that second stock there. Porkchop wasting no time.
Wonder here for Gyro, how do you sort of swing that momentum to the second round? I mean, that's a good way, getting that punch to land and finally evening out the stocks. But I think Porkchop playing with more on their plate here, trying to get everything to go their way after they lost that first round. They want to take this best of three all the way.
Oh, they most certainly do, and it looks like they might be getting it here. I mean, look how much damage Kazuya is able to build in just such a short amount of time. As you can see already, Gyro looking a little worse for wear at 177% damage. Does have to recover. Looking for the down smash there. Not going to be able to land it, but it is going to be the 1-2 combo and the laser blast off stage that puts Gyro at 200%, but they are still somehow in this.
Somehow is the key word there. At what point is the breaking point? At what point do you get combated to the blast zone? Well, there it is. Gyro taking the first stock from Porkchop, had something to give, but at this point they're being eviscerated. 0 to 100 in just seconds. Porkchop in their flow state.
Yeah, Kazuya, again, just is one of the heaviest hitters in the game. And it has to be said, my goodness, the way they can accumulate so much damage in such a short amount of time. And clearly, Porkchop knows what they are doing on Kazuya. That was one heck of a bout. And honestly, if I were these two, this is what I would like to see. Kazuya versus K. Rool. This is going to make for an interesting bout. Because, again, the differences between the two are significant. K. Rool going to be much better off stage. Kazuya is going to be able to deal a lot more damage against K. Rool than, say, a Falco. Could even break that belly armor, and that's what I'm going to be looking for here from Porkchop.
That belly armor. It's not always completely invulnerable, is it? K-Roll gets swung up in the air a bit too much there, missing on the crown throw as well. And when you miss once, boy, can you be punished. That was a little too quick.
Yep, and you see this is why that this Kazuya is such a great matchup here, because again, they are able to deal out such heavy damage and they have massive kickback. And we saw earlier the shortcomings that Falco had in that regard against the K Rule. So when you're going up against someone who is as heavy as K Rule, you need to bring someone that can deal out that damage and deal it quickly.
Well, it's being dealt all right. The cards are on the table here, and it looks like Porkchop's got the winning pair, nearly a full house, but it's not 3-2, it's 3-1. Gyro on the last stock brings it at least to 2. Maybe this is the kill that can swing the momentum in their favor, because if it's not now, it's never.
Yeah, and you also got to give it up for this use of range here, because remember, K Rule very versatile themselves. They have a plethora of abilities that can go the distance, so to speak, and you could already see that belly armor cracking. Look at K Rule's belly. You can see cracks starting to show, and that's from constantly taking those powerful punches from Kazuya.
The power just keeps coming through here. Porkchop using the projectiles, using the crowd to the best of his ability. K-Roll has had difficulty closing the gap and not sorted out too well in range against Porkchop, but the jab is going to be countered quite well by the smash. Gyro still landing the hits, keeping the range close, but could that be to a detriment? Oh, will it ever? Porkchop on the switch to Kazuya was all too good.
That it was, and a great reverse sweep at that. I mean, they tried and bring in the Falco, which is again not a bad pick, and they didn't play poorly against K Rule with the Falco either. However, with that being said, the Kazuya was just clearly the better matchup there. And again, great use of the command grab, being able to get those heaven gates in order to solidify and confirm stocks. But now we have ourselves a tie series 1-1 as we go into next, and it's going to be Piranha Plant versus Samus, and I am all here for this. I absolutely love Piranha Plant.
I do too. You know what? I wasn't a fan of too many of the deluxe characters at the end, but the Piranha Plant, I'm calling myself a fan, okay? I'm not a fan when my brother uses them because he just demolishes me. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'm a little bit biased against it. But otherwise, it's looking good. And I'll tell you what else, Cap. This feels like a playoffs match. We're the final week of qualifiers, yet we've got this 1-1 series and an even match in round 3. We're getting more than I think we asked for.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I just think Piranha Plant is so cute. Like, I want to bop it on the head, much like Mario does. You know, they like to bop the Piranha Plant from time to time. But they're also going up against Dark Samus, and this is a great matchup as well. But with that being said, it's going to be a little bit difficult just because of how much reach Piranha Plant actually has. And Dark Samus, you know, they are strictly a gunner type. They are the OG gunner of Smash. So again, you're going to have to try and keep as much distance as possible between you and this pesky plant.
Yeah, and that's becoming a really difficult task to do. Samus even trying to charge into it here as Aiden stays central on the platform, tries to get that neutral B to go. But even with it charged up for so long, waiting for that right moment, it's too difficult to land. And it at least exists as a threat as the Piranha Plant player from North Henderson has to get around that. Recovery's pretty solid here. Ends up eating the missile, though. The Piranha Plant. I know that mouth is big, but how many of those missiles can you really eat? The grab, the down. Oh, the air, though, that does connect for Aiden. And the missile. Is there no safe area here for North Henderson?
I mean, not right now. And you know what? This is actually somewhat of an even matchup too, or rather even map advantage, because there is only one platform in the way. So it's not necessarily all flat, but there still is only one platform. So I do like the map that they chose here on Smashville. But regardless, you know, getting right back into the action, 112 already. And a great use of the Poison Cloud with the Spike Ball follow-up. That has been the difference maker between good Piranha Plant players and great Piranha Plant players. Those that can utilize the Poison Cloud and play within it. Well done.
That's combo work coming out of the North Henderson Piranha plant. And how about that reach? That's what you were talking about. Unbelievable how far that plant can stretch. And you see the confidence coming from the Piranha plant user as well, because on high damage, they were very cautious, but on low damage, you can see the confidence just building, taking more risks, and boy, is it working out.
Yeah, and again, I just really love the use of the Poison Cloud, because not only that, but they're negating the movement of Samus, whose movement is already somewhat limited because they are a gunner type. So again, the use of the Poison Cloud along with the Spike Balls and kind, you can tell that this Piranha Plant player just has done a massive amount of homework, has definitely put the time in to master this character.
Put all the practice and the work in that you want, but that dodge into the grab from Aiden is looking pretty solid. Neutral there, doesn't connect, but eventually on the missile, on the beam, ends up getting them. Still a lot of work to do though here for Aiden.
Oh, absolutely, but the revenge stock will come in kind, and that will wrap things up there for game number 1, or rather round number 1 of game 3, and it's going to be that pesky Piranha Plant to get the advantage and now put themselves onto match point.
Match point here for North Henderson, and it started out so close between the two of them. I think they're still feeling strong on these comfort picks. I think Aiden has reason to feel confident, but you've got to learn, you've got to adapt as this game goes, because what we're finding out here is that these combos are still just so lethal out of Piranha Plant. It's becoming almost impossible to dodge for Aiden.
Yeah, it's getting really difficult, especially with the use of the Poison Cloud, because if you're trying to, you know, dodge roll forward and close the gap, then you're just going to be running into more damage. And right now, you know, the gunner, who more often than not is going to be the one to keep their enemy at bay, is succumbing to the range that is Piranha Plant. Anytime they try and go up and over or go even around, they're just taking that much more damage. As already you can see that first stock is well and gone here for Aiden.
Those platforms as well, just becoming dangerous. I mean, look at how Aiden nearly walks off the platform and lands in the spike ball. It feels like there's always a spike ball. There's always a Poison Cloud. There's always something ready to meet Aiden as they try to close the gap, and they couldn't even close the gap between themselves and the platform. Aiden, work to be done here just to get the first stock off of Piranha Plant.
You know what I love seeing with this Piranha Plant is that when they were first introduced, like, people were so underwhelmed with the presentation of the character. And, you know, it was kind of memey. It was kind of memey in the Smash community for a while. But lately, especially in the high school and collegiate scene, there has been an increased amount of pick rate for Piranha Plant, and it leads to great gameplay like this. People are starting to take the character a little bit more seriously.
I'll tell you what, high schools in the Western Conference of North Carolina, you better take North Henderson seriously, and this Piranha Plant for sure, because they have dominated the stage. Back on the recovery, gets the grab, the toss, and almost the spike ball combo. It's still following the Dark Samus. It's in their nightmares. Aiden eviscerated from Battlefield as North Henderson take the best of 5.
Yeah, that they do, and they managed to come through with a big win for the favor of North Henderson. And look how happy that Piranha Plant is. It actually is smiling. How can you not love the Piranha Plant? It's just so cute. Exactly, just boop. And regardless, that is a big win for North Henderson. And again, I loved the character selection. I love the matchups that we got to see. I mean, game number 1, K-Rool versus K-Rool, I'm happy. Game number 2, we went all the way to 3 games in that best of 3 series. We got to see Falco K-Rool, right, then Kazuya, and then Kazuya K-Rool. Great matchup. And then ended, we get Piranha Plant with Samus. I got to say, game number 1 surely did not disappoint.
Yeah, best of 3, a best of 3s. It was all over the place, but at the same time, yeah, it was just right. I agree, Captain Itsoka. And folks, you know what? If you liked what you saw from North Henderson, got good news. They're going to be back for our second match here for the Western Conference Qualifiers, the last week of quals before playoffs, next week for VESL's Spring 2024 Smash here. North Henderson coming up against Caldwell in the match right after this break. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with the Western Conference Qualifiers for Smash. High school students out of North Carolina competing for that whole prize of $25,000 here in the last week of qualifiers. We have already seen North Henderson take down the likes of, I think that was, Challengers, early college. And Captain Atsoka, once we get to this next match of North Henderson versus Caldwell, I'm curious. We saw the Kazias, we saw the PD Piranha plants. Like, well, what's it going to take to defeat this team?
I mean, it's definitely going to take a lot of tech. I mean, you got to really know how to play against the offstage presence. Because if there's anything that I've seen, from North Henderson is that they are really good at the ledge guard and they're really good at taking you off stage. So you're going to have to either try and beat them at their own game, or you're going to have to try and stay with your feet on the main stage. So, I mean, we've already seen what type of characters that they're bringing to the table. We've already seen the K Rule, we've seen Falco, Kazia, and Piranha Plant. So now you have to ask yourself, do you play trying to counter those picks? I mean, if you're thinking about going for the counter pick, it'll be pretty tough. We've already seen that Kazia themselves is a great counter pick to K Rule. So again, you might want to stick to that, to those fighter types, maybe even a Little Mac. Again, not a lot of people like Little Mac, but I do. I think they are the glass cannon of Smash. They can definitely put out those heavy hits that can send K Rule to the moon. And then as far as everyone else goes, I mean, you do have the Falco, who's going to be your speedy guy. So again, you can always go with somebody with a sortie who can definitely hit from a little bit of range and hit with a little bit more oomph. Someone like Roy, possibly. And then for Piranha Plant, because they are, again, starting to get such an increased pick rate, they haven't been seen around in the Smash community too often. It's still kind of up in the air, but I also wouldn't mind seeing someone like a Pokemon trainer coming out to take on the Piranha Plant. But we'll just have to see.
All right, I think we will have to see. I mean, you covered all the bases, Cap, and at one point you were recommending another Kazuya versus Kazuya, like we saw in Final Destination. Like, you want to go back to the Tekken action, but this is Smash Bros. We could see just about anything here, folks. So why don't we get right to the action? Once again, it is North Henderson versus Caldwell for this first matchup. And from what I heard, we are diving right in. So North Henderson, dig out what it takes to get a second win on the day. It's time to find out for the Western Conference Qualifiers of Spring 2024 Smash. It's Kitsune again on the K Rule, and we've got a Falco back on the stage as well.
I mean, we have seen this matchup already. I mean, we have literally seen this one last match. Again, the Falco versus K Rule. I mean, last time I went the way of K Rule. So, I mean, maybe, who knows? We'll see. It depends whether or not Tetra is going to be able to do what their previous Falco player could not, and that's being able to take on this K Rule. So we'll see. Again, it's going to come down to a lot of aerial combat between the two. Falco, they like to go up, they like to go vertical with up tilts into the forward and back airs, and of course K Rule can hold their own off stage. So let's see who's going to be able to dominate the skies here.
Better be able to hold his own off stage, because he's spending a lot of time over there. Kitsune, you got to get back on that stage. You got to land your attacks, because right now they're getting beat and battered. That's a good way to counter it, though. The grab, the toss, and almost the air attack, but they're punished for it. And we've seen this risk-taking be punished before. Back when we did have K Rule versus Falco, the Falco tried to get the final delivering blow down too far below the stadium and got punished for it on their last stock. So it seems the risks have not been worth the reward as of late.
At least not yet, but that's the, the cost of playing high risk, high reward, is that, when the rewards do come in, they come in kind, and that was a big reward going to Kitsune by using the belly flop in order to take the first stock off of Falco. And as we've seen in the previous match, that 55 isn't as daunting as it would be to a regular character like Falco.
It's not as daunting, but maybe some additional attacks can work up that damage, trying to get a little bit equal on the damages. Kitsune with each and every air attack, and that crown available if Tetra really wants it. Throws it down, but misses their target. Kitsune taking central stage, both of them holding hands with those shields. One's got to attack at some point. The shield just holding the wherewithal against Kitsune, being taken up into the skies, but Kitsune battling right back, holding that ledge. Vitetra, good move to get back to central stage.
Yeah, and you see, this is the real big difference maker between the two, is that K-Rool, their abilities have a good amount of kickback, whereas Falco, they got to put a little bit of extra in it. That up tilt, perfect. That'll get the job done, and it's going to be a little bit harder going forward here onto the last stock, because now you're down 0-0. In the long run, K-Rool is going to be able to absorb that much more damage than Falco, especially if, and this is a big if, Kitsune tries to use that belly armor.
We'll see if that does come through. You said they could take a lot of damage and absorb it, and that's exactly what they're having to do. From 0-0, we go from nearly 100 to 0. We've seen a K-Roll last to just about 200 before, so maybe that is still possible, but you gotta think at some point more than that crown needs to be done against the Falco. Cannot shield against that, but taking the cannonball right back to the K-Roll. Kitsune back up in the air on those elevated platforms. It's a dangerous position to be in, but manages to get back to the middle.
Back to center platform, and you know, if you're K-Rool, this might be where you want to be. As you can see, that belly armor now starting to crack. They have been trying to use it, but I gotta give it up to Vitetra, because they have been able to really just time their attacks like that. A good forward air to get the final stock off of K-Rool, and Caldwell is going up 1-0 in the first game here between the two.
I mean, who knew that the Western Conference was like the most competitive that we've seen out of North Carolina? North Henderson taking the win earlier. They already went up against the Falco, and their K-Roll took them down. Now we're seeing that flip-flopped, and it's been even. It's been close, but I've got to agree with you, Cap. Vitetra and their reads against the belly armor have been so solid. It's almost as if they're baiting them to use the belly armor so they can punish them afterwards.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, I was really curious to see, I don't know if it's agreed upon before we head into the matchup, but it's interesting that we're not seeing any character switches. I'm wondering if once you pick the character that it's locked in per agreement. But with that being said, you would think after the first match going down, they might try and swap out to see if there was another good matchup for the Falco. But you can see they are going to be answering back in kind here to start things off in round number 2 of game 1.
Pretty even, as you mentioned, and I think it's been a much more passive approach as well. You can tell the patience exhibited in the fact that the first attack wasn't really landed until very early on. We've been criticizing that K-Roll on the belly armor, not timing it well, but how about it? They're using it much more sparingly here, Cap, and they're landing it a lot more efficiently.
Well, yeah, because now Kitsune, they're starting to take their time a little bit. They noticed when they tried to initiate the attack, you know, K-Rool is just a little bit slower than Falco, so you're going to get countered the majority of the time. You have to let Falco throw the first punch, and then you as a K-Rool try and find that opening to deal a big devastating blow. As already you can see Falco now able to take that first stock off of K-Rool, but look at the damage already being done to Falco's second stock.
All the way to 102, 118, off of the throw. Vitetra, you've got the recovery, but it's well-timed, the smash from Kitsune, and the punish. Holy, North Henderson going for it all and having a feast of it.
Yep, that they are. And now that's a big one-stock lead. I mean, you're looking at 20-0 right now on Falco's last stock, as once again they go for the down throw into the belly, and now going to be throwing out the musket. Able to get the stun. This is huge. The boxing glove comes in kind right to the beak, and that is going to be the final stock here off of the Tetra. And here in game number 1, we have a 1-1 tie.
What a KO. That's a knockout if I've ever seen it. The charged up smash to its fullest capability. And whether they locked in these fighters or not, Cap, we're still getting the same. That's the way it should be when we go to round 3.
Speaking of round 3, this is going to be a little bit more challenging for Falco here. Not saying that they can't do it, but honestly, here on Final Destination, the map itself favors K-Rool. There's no platforms giving Falco that little extra oomph whenever they're trying to continue their up tilts into the up air. Because again, when you're able to get those up tilts initially and they launch K-Rool up higher, you can land as Falco on those platforms again to reset the juggle and reset your combo. But now that the platforms are gone, you can no longer do that. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult to try and get K-Rool up and off their feet vertically. So let's see how Falco is going to adjust here on Final Destination.
Almost as if you called it into action there. Those air attacks were doing a good job of getting Kitsune in the air, and you can tell Vitetra, when they are in the air, they're trying to take full advantage of it. The grab, the throw into some combos. There it is. Kitsune able to counter it for a moment. Cannonball coming out. Denying maybe the high recovery and forcing them low onto the ledge. How is the edge guarding gonna go? Not well enough. Tetra finds themselves back on the stage, and with the blaster, able to get an extra damage onto the Kitsune. How high will it go to take this heavy out? Counter into the mix. The air attack winning over for Kitsune. That recovery is so vulnerable, but Kitsune cannot get the punish. It comes through later on.
Yeah, and you see this flat this flat surface here with no platforms, it definitely does K-Rool favors, because K-Rool doesn't need any extra platforms up high. You know, they can get all their work done on this flat surface, whereas Falco, we've seen them, they've juggled K-Rool time and time again, but they're not able to take them as high as they normally would on a place like Pokemon Stadium 2. And at the end of the day, they're just gonna have to try and out smash their opponent with a forward smash like we just saw from Falco. That was good enough to take that first stock from K-Rool, and now we're tied at 2.
And it really feels like, because that win condition is tougher for Vitetra, or at least it's less multifaceted, right? There are fewer opportunities. You've got to kind of go for that charge up smash. That cannonball countered between the two of them is leaving me in shambles over here. I can't believe how many times I got bounced back and forth, but because there's so few options really for this Falco, they've got to play a bit more patiently, a bit more meticulously. Feels like if the Kitsune just plays their options right, have this win in store, but we're still about as tied as we could possibly be.
Yeah, I think Kitsune is taking a thing or two that they learned from their previous matchup against the Falco, because one thing that kept happening time and time again is that Kitsune kept getting their musket returned to them by the Falco reflector, and that's why Falco is so good against ranged enemies. Is now you can see they got left open for a big smash attack, now taking their second stock down to the last one, and right now K-Rool Kitsune definitely with the advantage.
Huge advantage, especially given how high this heavy can go in damage. So how high will they be able to resist? We may not even get an answer to that question. The bounce back on the cannonball meets the side B recovery of the Falco. Well done for the K-Roll.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not biased. I'm trying not to be biased, but the K-Rool play was so good there on Final Destination. And again, you have the advantage, so you have to make the most of it. You can't give wins away for free, especially North Henderson, who are unfortunate, who are coming off of a big win. You know, they want to try and continue that win pattern and, you know, just continue to do better. And now you can see we got Porkchop coming back in on the Kazuya. And need I mind you that this Kazuya from Porkchop in the previous matchup was absolutely devastating, and it's going to be interesting to see how they fare against a Jigglypuff who is a lot more quicker, a lot speedier, and this could actually be a decent counter to Kazuya, because again, Kazuya, they hit heavy but they are slow.
I do wonder as well with those, you know, risky, oh my goodness, the rest from Ye. Okay, so far it is a good response against the Kazuya. I wonder if Porkchop takes more risks here, because in the last matchup, North Henderson needed to win the next 2 sets to win the series. And so a lot of pressure was on Porkchop, but this time around, they're in the lead. Porkchop could lose this, so you wonder if with less stress, less pressure, they can exhibit some better moves.
I mean, we'll see, but right now, you know, we can see that this Jigglypuff definitely knows what they're doing, even though they fall victim to the Heaven's Gate. That command grab from Kazuya, oh so devastating. And, you know, they have one of the stronger command grabs in the game when it comes to those side Bs, and you'll love to see it coming from Kazuya. Again, great work there, but Jigglypuff wasting no time, going right back to work against this Kazuya, forcing 104% damage, and forces the recovery, as once again, they're keeping Kazuya off stage.
Porkchop knows there's really no safe area on this stage. Even when you're recovering, Ye is taking the fight to them. And it forces them out of that recovery back onto the ledge. Porkchop, this is a difficult one to get around. And now on low damage, Ye just gonna try to combine these quick air attacks.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, much like Kirby, Jigglypuff is a very floaty character. And against someone like Kazuya, it's actually not the worst matchup. You would think so, because since they're literally squishy, the heavy hits from Kazuya would just absolutely decimate. But again, having those floaty abilities makes it a little bit better for them to maneuver around Kazuya's attacks, because there's little range to them. Meanwhile, you do see Kazuya able to make up for that range by using the lasers and being able to confirm the second stock from Ye.
Oh, you've got to punish this rest. Here we go into a combo. There's a couple attacks and managed to get Ye up in the air and just about evening on the damage as well. This has been a wonderful comeback from Porkchop. Wonder how far they can take it. The grab and the toss from Ye. They want to punish this as much as possible, but it's the immediate recovery. And from Porkchop, charged up attack is ready to go here for Porkchop. Can they land it though? No, Ye taking him away off the stage. The fight is taken to them, but Porkchop staying alive, surviving, and thriving.
Yeah, this was what makes Kazuya so so dangerous. Really, is because you're there, you're trying to get them as high in the percentage as possible, but once they hit 100%, they get put into rage mode, and that rage mode deals out so much damage. The down spike will be all they need. That down smash is going to be enough to send Jigglypuff into the blast zone, and now Porkchop able to take the first round here in game 2.
Yay, do you stay on the Jigglypuff? You do! Very well. There is a win condition. You know, we saw it at the beginning, but again, I have to commend Porkchop. They adapted so well mid-round, and you wonder if those adaptations will swing just more heavily in the favor of Porkchop. So far from what we're seeing, it will.
Yeah, and here we are on Final Destination again. I want to say this one favors Kazuya, because honestly, Final Destination in itself favors the big heavies and it favors the brawlers, and Kazuya is one of the main brawlers here in Smash. As you can see, without wasting any time, they managed to take the first stock off of this Jigglypuff. And you know what? I think I'm going to stand by my original statement that Final Destination is just going to be the bread and butter for Kazuya here.
It's looking to be the case. Think about this quite a bit, and like, that first stock that Ye was able to take was off the rest. It seems like there's a reliance to getting the kill on the Porkchop with the rest. So if you go for that, Ye, you've just got to be so careful, because we've seen what Porkchop can do to punish. The other win condition is getting Porkchop off the stage, taking the fight to them, and trying to keep them off. This is exactly where Ye wants to be. However, hit by the laser, Porkchop knows that they can damage them all too well. And with 2 stocks gone, Cap, it's looking rough for Ye.
Yeah, but another big command grab there with the Heaven's Gate. And again, this is why I mentioned earlier that Kazuya is so dangerous. Granted that the Rage Art is no longer on, but whenever you have Kazuya back up against the wall, that's when they are at their strongest. Once they hit 100% damage, Rage Art comes online, and they were able to take that second stock off of Ye using it. And now, with 77% on their last stock, Porkchop still has another in their back pocket right now.
You're going to see some risks taken from Ye if they're able to. Expect that rest when the damage gets high enough on Porkchop. If it gets high enough, it has to be nearly perfect from Ye. But goodbye and good night instead. North Henderson today came to play. They get the win earlier against Challengers Early College, and this time against Caldwell. Porkchop, the flawless effort from North Henderson. Get that player on the Kazuya, and business, it's going to be done before 5 on the day, Cat.
Oh, absolutely. Phenomenal gameplay that we have seen coming from North Henderson. And I wouldn't be surprised if, they go the distance here. They definitely showed some great gameplay. And not to mention, we didn't even get to see the third player, again, that pesky Piranha Plant come out from the side of North Henderson. And you know what? They have a great lineup there. However, I will admit to my own disappointment, we didn't get to see any sorties today. And to be honest, like Kazuya, they did great against the Jigglypuff. They did phenomenal against the Jigglypuff. Even though in game game number one, they were looking a little worse for wear. When you're playing a floaty character like that, much like Kirby or Jigglypuff, it's always good to have a sortie. I feel like a sortie is a good character and a good counter towards those floaty characters because, again, you do have a little bit more reach and they still pack a punch. But clearly, Porkchop had no issue with it. Even with a limited amount of range, they still were able to take that floaty character. And honestly, throughout watching it with Jigglypuff versus Kazuya, you ever played a game when you were a kid with a balloon and you just keep hitting it up over and over again, trying to keep it from hitting the ground? That's what it was like watching Kazuya Porkchop take on Jigglypuff.
Yeah, you mentioned a sword could be doing really well against a floaty character as a sword would do against a balloon, but Kazuya was all that was needed. And I feel like especially the recovery tactics that we saw out of Porkchop when it was combined with the laser made it a lot harder for Ye to rebound those efforts off the edge, take the fight to them, and take them out in that manner. So yeah, really impressive display and adaptation coming from the Kazuya, but holistically as well from North Henderson, a team that, as Cap said, will very well go the distance. At least we expect here from the Western Conference for the final week of qualifiers for Spring 2024 Smash of VESL. These were the two matches that we had ready for y'all. So again, congratulations to North Henderson. We expect to see you guys in those playoffs starting next week as we'll be streaming those here on the YouTube channels. And folks, if you want to stay tuned to all the conference actions, you should definitely take a look at that live list here on @VESLGG on YouTube, or just @VESL. There's a lot of conferences. There's a lot of gameplay here happening for that total prize of $25,000 for these North Carolinian high schoolers. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to the action. We had Brian behind the scenes making everything look pristine. Captain Ahsoka by my side, and I have been Pyro J for this VESL Qualifiers week. We'll see you for Smash next week and some Rocket League tomorrow.